back, guys, to AI Noho Radio. This is your co-host Ted on the mic right now, alongside with Chris and Ro.
Yeah.
Also, we got two special guests in the building right now. We got Chris. Say your I was gonna say your SoundCloud, but I forgot it.
My name's Chris Cyphaz. What's going on?
Cyphaz, there you go. We also had my teacher, Brad Senstock, in the building. Say hi to everyone.
Awesome.
Hey guys, how you doing?
So I'm gonna be interviewing Brad right now and Chris, ask him a few questions. So Brad, Chris, introduce yourselves.
My name
What
is
do you
Chris
do?
Cyphaz. I'm a rapper, beat maker, just all around. I love music, so that's what I do.
Cool.
Awesome.
Brad.
I teach here at AI, also produce music. Been working with Chris for a couple months now. He's one of the most fantastic. I like to call him a flow artist just because of how he can walk into sessions and write.
Yeah, I mean, we seen him
on the
That's
spot.
so dope.
So cool.
Like really the new wave of music, just coming in, being able to write really dope flows on the spot and go with it. Yeah, I've been producing music for a long time in my life, and
When did you start?
I think it all started back when I was probably like 10. My mom signed me up for the church handbell choir. And
I did choir.
that was how I started reading and learning how to play music. Our program director was fantastic. Incredibly intelligent man. We used to just call him like a walking encyclopedia because he could just list every word known to man. He was just incredibly smart and knew music like no other, and he really taught me how to be a musician. From there, I was playing drums till I was probably 20. Played in a couple metal bands, played in the church band, played in jazz band.
What was your band name?
Our band name was At Arms.
At Arms?
At Arms, yes. Very old school metalcore. It was back when that was really popping.
So, Chris, tell us about you. When did you start producing music, and tell us about yourself.
I started producing music in 2005. Basically, like when I took it more serious. It was pretty hard to get studio time and beats and all that, so I kind of just worked with it myself and just started learning how to make beats or produce, and here I am. But
also wanted to know, how did you meet Brad? Like, did you guys just cross paths?
I'll let you tell the story. That's good.
Tell us the story.
Well, I was in the studio. I was in school, and I was utilizing the studio, and I was just going over one of my songs, and he like just came inside the studio. Was like, "Hey, what's up?" I was like, "What's up?" He's like, "This you?" I was like, "Yeah." Like everything I play here will be me. He's like, "It's pretty dope," and I was like, "All right, it's cool." Like. Then he came back like 5 minutes later. He was like, "Hey, I need you for a session. Can you do vocals?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm down. Let's go." And from day, we took off. And I'm happy. He's an awesome producer. I can't be any happier right now.
Aren't you guys a team too? Don't you guys have a team name? Sorry, doesn't it start with a T?
I started a little company, a publishing company called DPTG Music, and it was really out of inspiration from my beloved. Like, we wanted to start something really fun and really let kind of my creative outlets just flourish. So we developed a brand, came up with that, and that's kind of running as a background right now. I don't want to call it a label and like push it as a label because I'm not shelling out tons of money to make music videos and promote artists, but it's a hub and a place where I can publish music, submit music, release it to everyone through iTunes, Spotify, whatever outlet I can. I use that company for. So I kind of viewed producing music in a new way after I did that. It was like, who can I get in the studio that's consistently like inspiring me to make different styles of music, and have it be good quality rather than just quantity. I could spend days and days recording just different people, but I was like, I really want to do quality stuff, and when it's good and when it's there, I'll release it and let everybody hear it. Hopefully everything will come afterwards and I can make more videos later on. And that was kind of the whole philosophy behind it. But Chris also has a publishing company, and Chris and his partner Benton have done a couple tracks with me, and he's a fantastic singer. You want to tell us a little bit about Do Better Music?
I started I started do better music like back around like when I really started taking my music serious back in 2005, and I don't know, it was just something I thought was pretty cool, and I want to develop a team to more of like help other artists as well, you know, because I mean it's like us artists or rappers or whatever, we have a hard time putting our stuff out, you know, or
exactly.
just finding out our artistry, you know. So, and I mean there's you know certain ways that we can do to help each other, but it's like, why are you gonna go and charge this kid this, you know? Why don't you just help them?
Yeah, exactly.
Right. So that, I mean, that's basically whole like the Do Better music is basically just to help put other artists, or just, you know, just use your craft in general. But again, he mentioned Benton. Ben is one of my best friends from Atlanta. He's an awesome singer, songwriter. He's done a lot of work too, as well, and he's kind of like my partner with it as well. So he's, yeah, I mean, like it's going good now, and just with this addition with Brad, it's amazing. Like this movement right now is, we're gonna try to make the skyrocket. Like, for real.
How many members are in the DPTG?
DPTG.
I can't say it. It's too much.
DPTG.
It's just 4 letters. You can
Besides Chris, who else is in it? And Ben.
Well, if you go to the website dptgmusic.com, you'll see like 4 artists listed under there, but it really is a lot larger than that. In terms of producers and other singers, we've kind of picked up along the way. Benton, Chris, myself, this wonderful woman, Lara.
Oh, I think I remember. You brought her in the studio one time.
Yeah, she's come into the studio and recorded with us here at AI, and she's a fantastic singer. So she's become an integral part of just songwriting in general. I shoot instrumentals over to her all the time, like, hey, does this inspire you? Do you want any of these tracks? Basically, like, here's a gift. Do you want it? Do you want to put something on it? And usually I'll send like 3 or 4. She'll pick one. Along with her, a good friend of mine, his name is Max, and he's produced a couple tracks with Chris and Benton and I. And he was one of my former students at a college I taught before I came to AI. And he just blew my brains. Like, I walked into the studio one day and was like, what are you doing here? Like, why are you in school? Your music is so good. Like, just go do it now. And he's still taking time to really hone in and like crystallize his sound, is the best way I can put it. But he's been an integral part in working with us. So I think it's like 5 of us right now, but I also have about 4 other songwriters I bounce ideas off with back and forth. So overall, there's a good like team of us, 9 or 10 people that are consistently communicating with each other, giving out ideas out. And that was a big vision of mine that I had for a while, even when I started teaching professionally, was what would happen if you got a school and in an environment where it was more about inspiring artists to be confident with their craft rather than worry about the technicalities. Because we can all learn how to run a board, we can all learn how to use machinery, we can all learn how to ride a bike, we can all learn how to use a forklift. And at the end of the day, when you walk into a recording studio, it's the same type of setup. It's machinery, and you can train yourself to know it. But after that, like, what happens? Do you get bogged down in your head because you're thinking too much about the technical aspects? And I wanted to create like a flourishing environment, much like Chris was talking with Do Better Music. Like, find people who are like, that's good, that's not good, who can give you an honest opinion and really help support each other.
Yeah. So Brad, you were talking right now about inspiration. So I'm wondering, like, you guys as a team, like, where do you get inspiration from? Because I mean, I would assume that your music keeps evolving, you know, and you guys as artists keep evolving, you know, as a producer. So where do you get inspiration from? And then how does that come into play when you're working as a team? That's
a great question. I guess I'll start with this one, give Chris a little second to think about it. Being put on the spot. A large part of being inspired to keep writing music has a lot to do with my daily life and what happens outside of the studio. I can fall off the map for like a week and you might not hear from me because I'm still living my life, like being with my beloved, being out, going to see movies, going out to restaurants, trying new things, going on walks, going on runs, and spending a lot of time not thinking about music because I really want to experience as much life and people as I possibly can. So meeting video directors, meeting people who do other things is really, really important to me. The other day at a restaurant, I met a fantastic man. His name's Chris Cyphaz, and he is the head of neuroscience over at USC.
Wow,
and it was like,
so
what a random like person to meet, like, and what an intelligent person to meet when they're dealing with the brain and the science of the brain. So little things like that are like, wow, that's really cool. I could be doing that with my life, but I'm doing this. So taking a moment to really, I think, appreciate life and appreciate people puts me in an inspirational mood, along with all of the pitfalls we run into on a daily life. Like, everyone has problems, everyone struggles, everyone has emotional conflicts that they're dealing with when you're working with people. It brings up thoughts and feelings of like events that have happened in the past, and either you deal with it really well on the spot and you acknowledge that that's something in the past and that only brings you pain, and you use that as inspiration to drive forward, or you let it really like eat at you and you can sulk in bed and be completely depressed. And I still go through waves of that where I don't want to get out of bed because I'm so either angsty or angry with where I'm currently at in an external sense of how big's my house, how big's my bank account. And of course, like, everyone wants nice things and to be comfortable, but that also is an integral part of inspiration. How do you transcend those thoughts and feelings of being so angry on the inside and not really let it tear down your house? And there's a man I really respect, and he died about 20 years ago. And one of the things he said was, you can either use your fire to cook your meals or burn down your house.
That's awesome.
And in terms of like internal flame, like, how do you really utilize it? And that's become a big part of like hopping into the studio. Like, how do I want to use my anger in this moment?
Yeah, it's part of the process. Like, you can't leave out certain emotions and just expect, to have like good experiences. Like, I can assume that that's, part of the integral process that you're saying. So
exactly.
That's awesome.
And there's a wonderful college called Icon Collective it's actually right down the street from AOI, which is really, really interesting. But they're a private institution, and they have a class that's ongoing called The Art of Flow. And I recommend anybody just go to YouTube, search The Art of Flow from Icon Collective, and listen to what they have to say about being an artist and in terms of flowing in your life. Because much like a river, like, we flow through emotions and waves and ups and downs. And that has become a really, really big part of my life, is noticing like, where is the flow going right now? Who has walked into the studio and who am I dealing with now? Because there are days where people say, hey, can I bring my friend, and they're a really great singer and they want to do a track with you, and I'm like, I have no idea who this person is, never met him, I don't care to look him up, because what's more important to me at the end of the day isn't how big is your following on Twitter. It's awesome. What kind of performance can you give me? Like, what kind of experience can you give me in the studio to where I can feel you? Like, what emotions are you going through? Cool. I had a wonderful singer come in here the other day, and he was obviously singing about a girl in the song, and I think one of the lines was like, God, what was it? She can give you damage, and it was like, okay, he's clearly talking about an emotional state or a breakup, and he looks at me, he's like, hey, how was that? And he was really excited, and I looked at him, and I was like, who are you talking about? And his face just like went white, and he was like, because he realized I was asking him like, who were you speaking to in the song, and he got it real quick, and the entire tone of his voice changed, and it got a little emotional, and I was like, that was exactly what I wanted. I wanted to experience so cool. what you experienced in a matter of 30 seconds of a recording, from what you experienced, what probably could have been a year or two long relationship that could have so many intense moments that I don't know about. Give that to me in 30 seconds. Like, what does that sound like? And it came out amazing. So those are the things that really inspire me.
That's amazing. And I feel like that's a great quality as a teacher, to be able to pull that out of your students. Like, what are you going through? Like, let me see, like, through your music, what you're experiencing right now. So I think that's a cool quality.
Thank you.
And before we get into actually hearing about Chris and his opinion about that, we're actually going to get back to Wardogg. We're going to come back with the show, so that way we can give him a little bit more time to think about what he's going to say before he says it. So once again, let's give it up for Wardogg. He's on the turntables for you guys.
Go Wardogg.